on the Eagles Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to the EWU Athletics Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber. Now, here's your host, the voice of Eagle Athletics, Larry Weir.
Welcome to Flight Report this week, presented by TDS Fiber. Back after a 1 week layoff, I guess, for travel and so forth for the men's basketball team. They played at Washington State last Monday. Then Tuesday went to L.A., played against USC on Wednesday. The women's basketball team was preparing for the big game against Gonzaga last Wednesday, so we didn't do one of these programs. So today we're going to talk basketball, as we'll have men's basketball coach David Riley on. Also, women's basketball coach Joddie Gleason will join us, and volleyball coach Jon Haruguchi will be with us as well. The volleyball team a couple of weeks ago won against Northern Colorado on the road in the first round of the Big Sky Conference Tournament. The Northern Colorado was the Big Sky champions in 2022, so they hosted the 23 tournament. Eastern came in as the 7 seed. Northern Colorado was the 2 seed. Eastern beat them in the first round. Then they gave 3rd seed Montana State all they wanted in the semifinals before finally succumbing to MSU. But only one senior on this Eastern volleyball team. They get a top player back from last year in Alyssa Radke, and we'll talk more about that with Jon Haruguchi, Eagle volleyball coach, coming up in just a little bit. But we start with the men's basketball team here this week as they lost at Washington State and at USC. Last week, head coach David Riley joins us now on the program. Eagles without a game during this week until we get to Saturday as they play at the Air Force Academy on the 9th of December. So, Coach, this is kind of the second break in the schedule where you've had about a week where you can practice and get off the road. You've been on the road most all of the non-conference schedule so far, and obviously there's finals and so forth happening this week in Cheney, but it's probably good to get a little time to kind of reset your team and work on your team a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have this time. This week is a little different than it was a week and a half ago. We went really hard. We kicked their butts, and they got tougher, and I think we did see some payoff defensively in some areas, not in every area. This week is a little more academic based. They've got to make sure they're finishing up school strong. They've got some guys in tough classes, and we've been on the road so much. They're making sure they finish strong.
So far this season, it's been hard to see the progress, but I think there's definitely been progress made just within individuals. Casey Jones has scored in double figures in every game except for the opener against Utah. Ethan Price has been good the last 4 games. He's kind of gotten out of his shooting slump. We've seen a lot from LaJuan Watts to let you know that he's going to be one of the top freshmen in the Big Sky Conference this year. And Mason Williams is kind of showing that he's starting to figure it out. And then that's just 4 names out of more that you have that are really playing well for you right now.
Yeah, I think everyone's shown bursts of who they are individually, and our team has shown bursts. So it's all about getting more consistent and getting guys to do it on a nightly basis. But I am excited with the progress. We played a hell of a schedule, and it's not like it gets that much easier. Air Force has won 6 in a row. It's a really good Mountain West team. We're still going to be tested against the best right now, and I just think it's really good for us, and we're shoring up our foundation.
It's hard sometimes to see the progress that's being made because Utah you're allowing almost 40 points a game in the paint, but then you see Utah's 7-1 and 7 feet in their starting lineup. Against USC last week, they had minutes where they were 7-1, 6-11, 6-10. You had the 7-5 guy at Mississippi. Cincinnati had a big guy that was good. WSU plays 2 guys that are 6'10", 6'11", at all times, and they throw it to the post and play through the post. So it's kind of hard sometimes to see. It's hard to improve much defensively when you're playing against that kind of size.
Yeah, I think we took a step in our half-court defense versus Wazoo, and then our rebounding kind of showed up. We didn't rebound at the level we needed to. I think if we rebound that game, we win it. But the USC game was a frustrating one because Boogie Ellis got off to a hot start, hit some really tough threes, and I think I would have slept a lot better if they scored 106 on us with Boogie hitting even more threes. But we got spread out and overreacted to that a little bit early and started giving up dunks and cuts and layups, which is not how we want to play the team, and it's definitely not how you want to play versus a really good team like USC. So I thought we got a little bit away from who we are defensively that game. But overall, I have seen some improvements, and we're getting better. And if we can guard these guys in the paint, well, I think we'll be in a good spot in the Big Sky.
And I mean, it's like we say, it's tough to see the progress because when you're playing guys that you're not, when you're playing size or you're playing, NBA guys like a Boogie Ellis, it's or Miles Rice for that matter at WSU, those guys are pretty good.
Yeah, and then the Rice example is another good one. That's on the coaches. We labeled him a driver. I think he was 3 for 15 or 3 for 16 in the season. He was passing up open threes before our game, and man, he came out hot and buried his first 5 or 6. And that's not on the players. That's on the coaches.
What are you seeing from your team offensively at this point in time? It looks like they're starting to do some good things.
Yeah, I think we're moving the ball better. We're getting to a lot of good shots. Like when you look at our numbers, we're actually shooting the ball decent from 2 and 3. We're top 5 in the country in assists, and we're doing that part where we're offensive rebounding at a very low level, and we're turning the ball over a little too much. And we're not getting to the line like we should. Part of that should improve, I think, just based on who we're playing. But we just got to make sure we keep moving the ball and keep taking great shots.
When you factor in playing true freshmen this year, and you're playing 3 now with Vitze Zonke starting to play some, and Sebastian Hartman and Mason Williams are all playing, what goes into your redshirting still a couple of guys, but what goes into your decision as to, okay, this freshman I'm going to play, and these freshmen I'm going to redshirt?
I think just their performance this summer and fall. The way we do things here is a lot of live reps. We're a developmental program, so our practices are not, definitely not as tactical, like individual game by game as some places. There's a lot of reads and going over the reads and playing and live reps, and so those guys get a chance to compete. And Mason and Sebastian and Juan are 3 freshmen that have worked their way in the rotation, just because of the way they played in practice. And I'm just really happy with their development.
And I know you told me on before the USC game that Mason Williams and he's earning more time with the way that he practiced just in the last week.
Yeah, I thought he came with a great mindset. Before that Wazoo game, he had a good week, and he's the kind of kid where you just got to make sure he's taking care of his body. He goes to practice and he does some optional stuff before practice, and before the optional stuff he tries to get in the gym and get his own workout in, and then he'll come back at night. I mean, the guy's just like, we got to make sure he's resting his body too. And those are the kind of guys you love. That's what Tyler Harvey was like. That's what Jake Wiley was like. The greats are all like that. And so he's finding that balance, and he's getting better and better.
Sometimes you do have to rein your guys in, right? You've got a team full of gym rats, and you can't, they can't be in the gym 24 hours, right?
Yeah, no, I think especially some of our freshmen are just hoops junkies, and this is their first time in their life they've had 24-hour, or not 24-hour access, but damn near 24-hour access to a gym, and they get overzealous a little bit, but it's all about finding balance, and being a student athlete is not an easy thing to do, where you're finding that balance, and that's part of growing up, and it's just cool to see.
And with guys like Zonke and Hartman, I mean, the other thing is both these guys are foreign, so nothing is basketball is probably the one thing that is similar to home.
You're right. I mean, yeah, Basty's always in here watching film, hanging out, talking hoops. Vitze lives in the gym. You're absolutely right. This is the least foreign thing over here.
All right, Air Force is the opponent on Saturday. You talked a little bit about them earlier, but this is a good team. You mentioned their 6-game winning streak. Very disciplined team, obviously, and they are one of the schools that still runs the Princeton offense, and that's a challenge to defend.
Yeah, they've been really impressive to watch. Like they're on a 6-game winning streak right now. They are tough as nails. It seems like every 50-50 ball goes to them. They're super patient offensively. I think we're top 5 in the country in assists. They're top 15. They move the ball. They're unselfish. it's going to be a really well-played game. We got our work cut out for us.
They've got some really good players, and they've got some big guards, too. They've got some size on the back line.
Yeah, across the board, like, our offense is predicated on picking on mismatches, sometimes on the guards. They're big up front. They're not as big on the front line, but with their guards, they definitely have some size. They switch everything, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays against our team.
Air Force has had good success this season, but you're fighting a little. You're not in the Power 6 at this point, so this is a team a little closer to the Eagles weight class, right?
Yeah, I think just personnel wise, they've got some really, really good players. Definitely not the size that we've seen from USC and Washington State our last couple of games, but man, like watching them versus Portland last night, they're strong, they're big, they're physical, they're a really good team.
And do you take anything out of the Portland State and Eastern play differently? But Portland State did beat them this season. One of the two losses I think they have.
Yeah, Portland State did a great job defensively. They out rebounded them, which has been hard to do. They disrupted them, and I think it threw Air Force off rhythm with their offense. And they're playing a lot better offense these last 6 games than they had early on.
All right, so after this, you've got a home game, a rare home game coming up after that against Portland Bible College, and then the last 2 non-conference games prior to Christmas are the games at Cal Poly and the University of Washington. There are still 2 more non-conference games that come up, but after Eastern starts their conference season. Not, in my opinion, not the best time to be playing a non-conference game is in conference season. You don't have any say-so on that, but will it be difficult to go from in-conference games to out-of-conference games and then back to conference again?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I get so wrapped up in conference, and I'm sure our guys do too. It's going to be a little bit of a different deal, but we'll adjust. The game's the game, a scout's a scout, and I think it will be interesting to see some different teams earlier in the year like that. So just those things, it is what it is, and we're going to be excited to go play another game.
Are you looking forward to this Air Force game just because it's a place where you probably haven't been before as far as coaching in a game or playing a game? This should be something that, I don't know how many of the Air Force cadets are going to be in the stands for this game, but it should be fun to be in a different situation.
I think it's going to be a really unique opportunity, and a once in a lifetime opportunity for all of us, and to see the kind of people that are protecting our country, and I'm excited to experience that.
Coach, thanks for the time as always. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again on the next show.
All right. Thanks, Larry. Go Eags.
That's Eagle head coach David Riley. When we come back, we'll talk women's basketball with Coach Joddie Gleason. That's next on Flight Report on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
George Gee Buick GMC is proud to support Eastern Eagles football. We're your locally owned dealer with excellent customer service and a friendly staff. Right now, get great offers on the all-new GMC Sierra, featuring a 2.7-liter turbo high-output engine delivering 310 horsepower. See our inventory of Sierras just off I-90 at George Gee Buick GMC, the top volume Buick GMC dealer in Washington State. Visit GeeBuickGMC.com.
Come visit The Plains, a 9-hole golf course and practice facility with 2 full-length practice holes, a 60-yard wedge area, putting green, and driving range. We are also now home to the new Plains Public House, a great place to catch the game and grab a drink. Located at 9810 West Millville Road, Cheney, Washington. Just 10 minutes from downtown Spokane. To find out more information, go to theplains509.com. That's theplains509.com.
Welcome back to Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber, and it's time now to talk women's basketball here. Head coach Joddie Gleason joins us, and let's talk about last week. Coach, and we'll start with a tough game against Gonzaga, but I've got to think at the end of that whole thing, and you may not be that concerned with this, but at the end of this whole thing, I think you got you won some fans in that game. You didn't win the game, but I think you got some fans that were sitting on the fence who maybe didn't know about Eastern basketball until that game.
Right. I think that there were it was a great crowd. There were probably a lot of people came over from Spokane that, kind of got their heads turned a little bit. I think that we played great. It was unfortunate to come down with the loss. We had a chance to win, and but what a good college basketball game, and that's what we said. We thought that we, let everybody know that there are two good Division I teams here in this area, and hopefully we earned a little credit.
Absolutely. I'm sure you did. And basically, you can boil this game down to one area, and that would be defensive rebounding for you guys. You just couldn't keep them off the boards.
Right. When you look at the stats, that's obviously one of the glaring factors. And watching the game live, that was obviously a factor. We knew that we had to keep them off the glass. That had to be a point of emphasis. We did a nice job of it in the first half, and then they just destroyed us in the second half. I think they got 9 O boards in the second half alone. They're a tough rebounding team. We also, didn't do our job of getting in front of them and keeping them out.
I mean, offensively in that game, you guys played great. You shot the ball extremely well, especially from the three-point line, and you didn't turn the ball over. I don't think you could have done much more offensively. Could you have in that game?
They're such a strong offensive team. You have to be able to score with them. They're tough to stop, and we felt like we did a nice job of that. Yeah, we shot lights out from the three-point line. We moved the ball and executed what we wanted to do against them. We thought that we got those looks and knocked them down. It all boiled down to not being able to stop them enough or as many times as we could have.
Your defense was good in that game. They only shot 42 or 43%, and that was buoyed by the second chance points. If you take those away, they may have not even gotten to 40% against you guys.
Right. That's what we, we're just pleading with our team at timeouts was you guys are playing good defense where, they're missing shots. And then we just couldn't secure the rebounds. They also got out in transition a few too many times than what we would have liked. They have such great shooters and run in transition really well. And we just, got Maxwell loose and the Twins loose too many times in transition. That along with the O boards were the key factors for us for sure.
All right, then fast forward to Sunday's game against Boise State, and again, the defense was on point, especially in the second and fourth quarters. I think in those 2 quarters, Boise scored 8 points total.
It was up and down, but it's so nice to see that we can win a game at the defensive end. Our shots weren't falling overall. We were hitting threes pretty well, but our 3-point percentage was good. But for whatever reason, we weren't knocking down the jumpers or in the paint. They're a solid team. They're a really good team that protects the paint really well. And so we were struggling to get anything going there, but it was nice to see that we could, lock in defensively and hold a really good team to 4 points in 2 different quarters.
And there's going to be times where this happens during the course of the regular season, right, where you're not getting the shots to fall. And I thought against both Tarleton State and this game against Boise, your defense won you the game.
For sure. That, like I said, these guys, Boise State is a great team and they're going to, I think, shake things up in the Mountain West. And to be able to lock in and hone in defensively, I felt like our coaching staff does a great job of preparing our scouts and our players do a great job of, honing in and recognizing what we need to work on. They love to learn, our strategy and our plan, and they do a nice job of executing that. And I think we have a veteran team who really, understands the philosophies that we try to teach defensively, and we try not to mix things up too much where we're doing too many different things. We try to have our default defense and make sure that we're executing that. And then, so I think these guys just do a nice job of that overall.
All right, so when you look at this team, especially on the offensive end of the floor, you've got a very balanced scoring attack at this point in time with, at the very least, 5 players who can score on any given night, and that's got to be very hard for an opposition to try to prepare for a team like yours.
Right. That's our goal is, just to make it be tough. And we are very balanced. Aaliyah and Jamie, Jaleesa, they've all led us in scoring. I think JD has gotten there, at least tied them at least one of the times. Buck and Millie can also, fill it up a little bit for us. So we are, pretty balanced in that regard. I think that if we are hitting from the outside, then pretty soon the basket opens up for us to get to the hole, and then that helps our outside shooting. So we just kind of go back and forth, and then in Boise's game, we had a great game also from Bella Hayes. She came in and gave us huge minutes. Boise State has some really powerful, tough posts, and Bella just kind of had one of her best games. She's getting more and more comfortable. So I just think our depth is definitely an advantage for us.
Hey, yeah, you're getting tremendous efforts off the bench, whether it's Jadia coming off the bench, Jadia Martin, or whether it's Bella Hayes or Alexis Pettis has had some good games for you off the bench as well. Ella Gallatin, you've got more than 8 or 9 players who can contribute.
Right now, we're finally pretty healthy. We have a lot of those guys back that were injured, and it's a tough balance for us as coaches, right? It's a good problem to have, but we have a lot of really good players that work hard. They can fill it up at any given time. They defend, and they're just a really, really good group to coach.
All right, so this week with finals, you're probably giving players a couple of days off to get those handled, and we'll be back on the court later this week getting ready for Walla Walla on Saturday night.
Right. That's exactly it. We are taking today and tomorrow off. Obviously, those that need to get into the athletic training room, they need to do that. But we're off the court. They're focusing on their studies. So many of them had a lot going on last week as well, and so these 2 weeks are pretty brutal on the academic side. And so, we really try to step away. We'll come back in and probably be pretty quick on Wednesday, and then have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to kind of get our legs back under us, get some more shots up, get that feeling back, and get prepared for Saturday's game.
I'm sure that once everybody gets done with finals, there's going to be a real sense of relief and maybe some tired brains. And so you've got Walla Walla University coming in on Saturday night. They're NAIA level, and not to take anything away from them, but they're not a Division I team that is a Big Sky Conference caliber opponent. So is it good to have a lesser? That doesn't mean you can't play any less hard or execute any worse and try to beat this team. But is it good maybe to have a team that you don't have to get yourself fired up mentally for, when like a Gonzaga or a Boise State after all these finals are done?
We definitely are thankful to get a couple non-D1 caliber schools on our roster. We try to play a very competitive roster or competitive schedule, and so we try to balance it out with a couple non-D1s and get them an opportunity to play us, but also an opportunity hopefully for us to play our bench a little bit more. Hopefully we can do that. But we just try to go into every game like it's the same. We know that, the players know that it isn't. We know that it isn't, but we still try to prepare the exact same. We go into the game with the same type of scout mentality where we're, learning their action, have our goals as to what we want to stop them with, and have have quarter goals as to how we want to stop them defensively, quarter goals for us offensively, and obviously rebounding is always a concern for us, and that's a factor that we'll continue to work on.
And then after that, 3 big challenges for you, and maybe one of the bigger challenges here in the non-conference schedule outside of the Gonzaga game will be the game at Cal a week from Friday. It'll be a day game at Cal, and this is a really good team with a lot of size, and they've only lost once this season, and they're a really good team.
Right. Like I said, we like to schedule tough so that we can get prepared for the Big Sky. We'll play a couple top level teams like Cal and Gonzaga, and usually we have a couple of those P5 teams to play this year. There's just one, but most years we have 2 along with Gonzaga, and so we just want to go up against the best and get our players to work on different aspects of the game, to continue to work on defending and rebounding against tough opponents, to be able to run our action and score offensively against teams that can really defend and are long and athletic, and just try to simulate different styles of play within our schedule. So we feel like we've done that our schedule is pretty tough, and it's going to prepare us for the challenging Big Sky.
You guys are able to play a schedule. Maybe it's the men are not able to play in that Gonzaga and Boise State are not coming to Cheney to play the men. So how valuable are those regional rivalries and having them at home every other year?
It's huge. I think that it's something that, and we feel very fortunate that we are able to have those home and homes with Gonzaga and Boise State. It helps, it makes scheduling easier, but also just gets those home games. It's always tough to get home games. And anytime you can have that in your favor, it helps to build your schedule and they're quality opponents, right? With, the Mountain West and the West Coast Conference, two top teams in those leagugues, and the fact that we can, play them at home every other year is huge for us.
And budget friendly when you're on the road. It doesn't cost. It costs nothing basically to go to Gonzaga, but it doesn't cost much to get to Boise either.
For sure, things are creeping up, but as far as expenses go, but yeah, it's an easy trip. It's an hour flight or whatever it is, or and getting down there. We have Jaleesa that's from there, so it's always nice for her to get to go home. And we try to schedule a lot of those preseason games where our players can play in front of their families and friends. So it kind of banks on all those things.
Last question for you on this program, but I noticed, your team was having, the times that I've seen your team play this year, I've noticed a lot of smiles. It looks like they're really having a lot of fun playing together, regardless of where they're at in the game. It just isn't at the end of the game when you're getting ready for a win. Looks like they're having fun playing with one another and having a great team experience.
Yeah, they're just a great group. I keep saying that, but they're unselfish. They have a lot of fun. Just in this Boise State game alone and Gonzaga as well, but just the extra pass, right? There were several opportunities where somebody passed up on their own shot and distributed it to their teammate who has a better shot. And just all that kind of unselfish play really helps build team. And they work really hard but we also have a lot of fun at the same time. We, as coaches, try not to make it be a grind. It's not something that, it's not a word that we use. We want to make sure that we're having competitive joy where we're competing all the time. Every practice is tough and competitive, but it's also fun. It's the season goes by too quick. Their careers go by too quick for it to be a grind. So we try to have a lot of fun for sure.
Coach, thanks for the time. As always, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you again on the next Flight Report, and congratulations on the big win over Boise State, and good luck on Saturday against Walla Walla.
Thanks so much for having me, and go Eags.
That's women's basketball coach Joddie Gleason. More of the Flight Report presented by TDS Fiber after this timeout on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
When you work around here, your day can go all over the map. You need a truck that takes on any task and keeps working hard no matter what crops up. Smart and tough trucks from Corwin Ford make your work easier, whether it's finding your destination or getting to work once you're there. So load up, head out, and no matter where you tow, you'll be on track to get the job done. Corwin Ford, family driven for over 100 years.
Welcome back. Flight Report presented by TDS Fiber. We moved now to volleyball. Volleyball season ended a couple of weeks ago, but Coach Jon Haruguchi joins us now to recap the season. And Coach, that Big Sky Conference tournament, we got to start there because that you played in the first round on the night before Christmas, taking on the defending conference champion who was playing on their home court, and you came up with a win. So I'd say that was a huge win for several reasons. Number one, it was in the tournament, so that got you another match. Number two, you beat a top team on the road in a true road game. And three, had to give you some momentum, I would think, to take into the 2024 season.
Absolutely. You're right on all those accounts. We talked all season about being good in November. That was our main focus. Can we be good at the end of the season? Obviously, we had to make the conference tournament, to start. But once we got there, we knew that was our goal. Be excellent at the end of November. So we get in there. We have a very single-minded purpose. Our girls are focused, and I'm not sure how many people gave us a shot outside of our team for that match, but we did a really nice job of performing there and not letting the moment be too big or too insignificant. It was just the right amount.
And so you only lose one player at this point in time from what it looks like from this year's team to next year's team. So again, it's got to give you some momentum going into the off season here.
Absolutely. Sage Brewstad was our lone senior, and she did a tremendous job for this team this season, as including her entire career here at Eastern. We're going to definitely miss her. Not only what she brought to the court, what she did as far as a leadership role goes and in the classroom. So we're going to miss her, but we are bringing back everybody else, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think as you went on with the season, Bree Gunderson got more and more comfortable with what she was doing. Tonight Jenkins came in and did a nice job. Your middle was very formidable during this conference season especially, and having all those players back, Aaron McGinnis, others. I mean, you've got a Sadie Bacon, et cetera. You've got a great foundation for the 2024 team there, starting with the middle.
Absolutely. And, we went to that 6-2 offense, and a big reason for that was because we had such strong middles. And we knew that we could have Tanae Jenkins and Bree Gunderson in the middle. We knew that, Sadie Bacon is just such a nice volleyball player. She was going to be great no matter where we put her. She did a really nice job filling in on the right side, which was a big hole to fill with Alyssa Radke out this year due to injury. So she'll be coming back. All three of those middles are going to come back. Of course, you mentioned Erin McInnes. She really developed nicely over this year. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be really competitive. We'll have a totally different set of problems next year because we'll have so many talented players to on the roster. So it'll, like I said, fun and challenging and all that kind of stuff.
What's it going to mean to get Alyssa Radke back in the lineup next year?
We know what she's capable of. She's been putting in a tremendous amount of work, trying to get back, trying to rehab, trying to make sure that what she can do, she's doing in terms of staying strong in her upper body and so forth. So, we'll make sure that we do the right thing by her and get her back as soon as we can. But it's going to be nice. She's a second team all conference kid who is trending in the right direction, and we're really excited to have her back. She brings more than just her play too. She brings this really nice personality to the court. One that is a little bit goofy and whimsical at times, and sometimes that's just the break you need.
All right, so what happens now with the team? I'm guessing that with the quarter being over, players are off, but when does training start for 2024? Does it happen in January? Do you wait till February? When does all this start to happen?
Yeah, we kind of hit at it, a little bit right after that match against Montana State where we lost. We say, okay, the 2024 season starts tomorrow. And it really does, because it's all about the work that you do in preparation before you get, to the actual season in August. So they will take a little bit of time off from the volleyball court right now, but they're like all of our players are still going in and doing, voluntary lifts right now to make sure they don't lose any of their strength. We'll come back January 8th, which is the first day of classes. We'll get going in weights again. We'll probably take that first week off, but that second week we'll be at it with our 8 hours.
The season, I think, is decided as much by what happens between November and August as it does from August to November, right?
Absolutely. All of the foundation work is laid before the girls step on the court, right? The relationships that they develop, those things are the catalyst that allow us to do the things we do on the floor. If they have a strong relationship, we know that we're going to be able to get more out of them. They know that they're going to be able to push one another, to push themselves, to hold each other to the standards. And all of that, it happens on a day-to-day basis, whether we're in the gym or not.
All right, so, when you mentioned about the depth of this team that you're expecting for 2024, which kind of gives you a whole new set of problems than you've had in the past, because you've been, trying to find 7 or 8 girls that can play, and now you've got more than that are going to be on the roster for next year. So that shows you the program has turned a corner, right?
I hope so. We're always more critical of ourselves, but we've had a lot of folks come up to us and have been very complimentary of not only our players but of the job that we're attempting to do here at Eastern. we want to make sure that we're putting out the best product that we can, and that product is, great individuals and leaders once they leave here. So we might not see the entire fruit of everything that we're doing, in the immediate, but I know that we're putting out great people, and that's what the goal is.
Absolutely. And with volleyball, soccer can do the same thing. As you have a spring season, it's not something, I don't know how much you can talk about it at this point in time and how much you're able to talk about it at all. But you do get some matches in the spring, and so you're going to find out a few things about your team because you'll have a few games in the spring, right?
Absolutely. And, right now, it's funny you bring that up. We're still working on developing that spring season schedule. Where we have 4 play dates that we can do. We'll probably play Gonzaga. We'll probably play Central Washington. I'm hoping that we can get Washington State on the docket as well. And maybe we'll just head on over to Idaho while we're there. Who knows? So, we are focused on the education piece more so, because we can't take them out of school to do any of these things. So that does change where we can go, but we can still get some great high-quality matches right here in Washington without having to drive too far.
Absolutely. Some really good programs in this area, and most of them within a day trip of Cheney, which is a big thing. Coach, we want to thank you for your time here on the program this week. We appreciate it. It was fun watching you this year, and I'm sure it's going to be even more fun in 2024, and good luck with the season.
I really appreciate it, Larry. Thank you so much for taking an interest in our program and in our team, and we'll see you next year.
That is Eagle volleyball coach Jon Haruguchi. We'll be back and wrap things up on the TDS Fiber Flight Report after this timeout on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Order Bud Light online today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Let's wrap up this week's flight report. We are about 2 weeks away from the December letter of intent signing day for football. That is on Wednesday, December 20th, that will take place. So we'll have Aaron Best on for a podcast somewhere around that, either right after Christmas or maybe after the event on the 20th. I'll be on the road for that, but probably can get Coach on the phone at some point in time and discuss his signing day haul for the 2024 upcoming season. So that's on the way in a couple of weeks. Indoor track and field season starts for the Eagles this coming Saturday at the Podium in Spokane. It's a Spokane Invitational. Both the men's and women's teams will compete in that, and then they'll get Christmas off and start in January with more meets at the Podium. And this year, the Big Sky Conference meet will be at the Podium in Spokane. So close by for the Eagle indoor track and field teams. The women's basketball team, 5-2 overall in the season. After their win against Boise State on Sunday night, they'll be at home Saturday night against Walla Walla University, 6 o'clock for that game on Red Reese Court, and then they'll play at Cal on Friday the 15th. The men's basketball team at the Air Force Academy on Saturday, 2:30 pregame show on the radio, 3 o'clock Pacific time for the tip-off from Clune Arena in Colorado Springs. I believe the first ever matchup between Eastern Washington and the Air Force Academy in men's basketball. So that'll be a lot of fun to see that campus again. We went down there in football in 2004, I think, maybe 2003. I can't remember. Anyway, it was quite a sight and quite a spectacle during football. I don't know if it'll be the same thing for basketball, but we'll find out when we get there. And that'll be on Saturday as the Eagle men look for their first road win of the year, taking on the Air Force Academy. All right, that'll do it for this week's Flight Report presented by TDS Fiber. We want to thank you for listening. We'll be back again next week with another basketball edition of the Flight Report. Then we'll be off unless we decide to do a football one with Coach Best and the letter of intent signing day. And then we will be back into these things once conference season starts right after Christmas. We'll do a continual weekly flight reports at that time. So thanks for listening. Thanks to our guests, men's basketball coach David Riley, women's basketball coach Joddie Gleason, and volleyball coach Jon Haruguchi. I'm Larry Weir. Thanks for listening to the Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber, here on the Eagles Sports Network from Learfield.
You've been listening to the EWU Athletics Flight Report, presented by TDS Fiber. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.